For 15 years, I thought I knew my husband. I thought I knew every one of his tells, his habits, his patterns. The way he drummed his fingers on the steering wheel when he was nervous. How he cleared his throat before delivering bad news. The slight uptick in his voice when he was lying. Turns out, I didn't know him at all. It started 3 months before Super Bowl weekend. My husband Marcus announced over dinner that he and his college buddies were planning a guy's trip to Vegas. You know, relive the glory days. Watch the game at one of those massive sportsbooks. What happens in Vegas? Right? He laughed. Our teenage son, Tyler, laughed with him. I smiled and said it sounded fun. I didn't mention that Marcus hadn't talked to those college friends in over 5 years. I didn't mention that just that morning, I'd seen a notification pop up on his iPad, the one we shared for grocery lists and family calendars. A calendar invite. Vegas getaway, it said. But the email address attached to it wasn't from any of his buddies. It was from someone named Sierra Mitchell, his assistant at the dealership. I set down my fork carefully. When is it again? Super Bowl weekend. I already requested the time off. Thompson approved it. That's nice, honey. I took a sip of water. My hand didn't shake. I'd been an accountant for 20 years. I knew how to keep my face neutral while reviewing devastating numbers. That night, after Marcus fell asleep, I did what any good accountant would do. I pulled the receipts. 3 months of credit card statements I'd been too busy or too trusting to examine closely. Jewelry purchases. A charge from a boutique hotel in San Diego on a weekend he'd claimed to be at a sales conference in Phoenix. Venmo payments to Sierra Mitchell. $500 here, $300 there, always with innocent captions. Lunch meeting. Client gift. Office supplies. I sat in our home office until 3 a.m., building a spreadsheet. Every suspicious charge. Every unexplained absence. Every late night at the dealership that didn't match up with his calendar. The data told a story. A 6-month affair, maybe longer. Escalating expenses. Escalating intimacy. And Vegas. He'd booked 2 tickets. First class. A suite at the Bellagio. Dinner reservations at Joël Robuchon. Tickets to a Cirque du Soleil show. For him and Sierra. Not him and the guys. I could have confronted him right then. Woken him up. Thrown the printouts in his face. Kicked him out. But I didn't. I'd spent 2 decades managing money, analyzing risk, planning for contingencies. I wasn't going to make an emotional decision that would cost me everything I'd worked for. Instead, I started planning. The next morning, I called my friend Rachel, the only divorce attorney I trusted. Hypothetically, I said, if someone wanted to protect their assets before filing, hypothetically, Rachel said, they'd want to document everything. And they'd want to make sure any separate property stays separate. How hypothetical are we talking? Very real. But I need time. How much time? 3 months. Until Super Bowl weekend. I heard her sharp intake of breath. You're going to let him go on that trip? I'm going to let him think I'm letting him go on that trip. For the next 12 weeks, I was the perfect wife. I packed his lunch. I asked about his day. I smiled when he mentioned Vegas, said I was glad he was taking time for himself, that he worked so hard and deserved it. Meanwhile, I worked harder. I'd always handled our finances. Marcus made the money. I managed it. He never questioned where it went, as long as his personal checking account stayed flush for his golf memberships and his truck payments. He didn't notice when I stopped making extra payments on the mortgage. When I redirected his quarterly bonuses into an account at a different bank, one he didn't know about. When I sold some stock we'd inherited from my parents and deposited it into that same account. By January, I'd moved $127,000. Not enough to be obvious. Not enough to trigger questions. Just enough to survive on while I rebuilt my life. I consulted with Rachel twice more. We discussed custody, asset division, spousal support. In Colorado, where we lived, it didn't matter who cheated. But it mattered who was prepared. Are you sure about this? Rachel asked at our 3rd meeting. You could confront him now. Marriage counseling. Some couples recover. I thought about the spreadsheet. The pattern of lies. The casual way he'd been spending our money on another woman. I'm sure, 2 weeks before the Super Bowl, Marcus started acting nervous. Excited. He bought new clothes, expensive ones. Designer jeans. A leather jacket that cost more than our mortgage payment. For Vegas, he explained when I noticed the shopping bags. Want to look good for the guys. You'll look great, I said. That week, I booked my own trip to Vegas. Same hotel. Same weekend. A different floor, a different reservation, paid for with my separate account and made under my maiden name. I told Marcus I was going to a continuing education conference in Denver. That's the same weekend as Vegas, he said, frowning. I know. Bad timing, but I already registered. And Tyler can stay at my mom's. He looked relieved. Oh. Yeah. That works out then. It worked out perfectly. The Thursday before Super Bowl weekend, Marcus left for the airport at noon. He kissed me goodbye, told me he'd miss me, said he'd text me from Vegas. I waited 6 hours. Then I drove to the airport and caught an evening flight. I landed in Vegas at 11 p.m. Mountain Time. The strip glittered like a promise, all those lights hiding all those lies. I checked into the Bellagio under my maiden name, Jennifer Morrison. The clerk didn't recognize me. Why would she? I didn't sleep much that night. I kept thinking about what I was about to do, questioning it. But every time doubt crept in, I remembered the spreadsheet. The $40,000 in charges I documented. The Venmo payments. The hotel in San Diego. The way he'd kissed me goodbye and told me he'd miss me. Friday morning, I put on my best dress. The black one I'd worn to our anniversary dinner last year. I did my makeup carefully. I wanted to look good for this. At 10 a.m. I texted Tyler at my mom's. Having a good time, sweetie? He sent back a selfie. Grandma made pancakes. At 10:30, I took the elevator down to the casino floor. I found them at 11:15. They were at a blackjack table, Marcus and Sierra. She was young, probably not even 30, with long dark hair and a cocktail dress that probably cost what I made in a week. She was laughing at something Marcus said, her hand on his arm. He looked happy. Younger than he'd looked in years. I stood there for a moment, just watching, feeling nothing. The rage I'd expected didn't come. Neither did the hurt. Just a cold, clear certainty that I was doing the right thing. I walked up to the table. Hit me, Marcus was saying to the dealer. Then he saw me. The color drained from his face. Jen? What are you? Your conference is in Denver. It was cancelled. I smiled at Sierra. You must be Sierra. I've heard so much about you. She looked at Marcus. He looked like he might throw up. Can we talk? He said, standing up. Privately? We can talk right here. I reached into my purse. I brought you something. I handed him the envelope. Manila, legal-sized. He took it with shaking hands. What is this? Divorce papers. I filed on Wednesday. You're being served. Sierra made a small sound. Marcus stared at the envelope like it might explode. You can't just. We need to talk about this. We really don't. I kept my voice pleasant. Conversational. I've talked to my attorney. I've separated our assets. I've moved half the money in our accounts to a protected account. Colorado is a no-fault state, so your affair doesn't impact the settlement, but the $40,000 you've spent on Sierra over the past 6 months does. That's marital funds used for an extramarital affair. My lawyer is very interested in that. 40,000, Sierra said, her voice sharp. You told me you were separated. You said you were just waiting for the paperwork. I lied, Marcus said. Then, to me, Jen, please. Can we go somewhere and discuss this like adults? I am being an adult. I'm ending our marriage cleanly and fairly. You'll get the papers in the mail, but I wanted to deliver these personally. Save the process server fee. He was sweating now. The house. The accounts. Tyler. The house will be sold and we'll split the proceeds. The accounts are already divided. Tyler will have joint custody. But I have documentation of your activities that might impact a judge's decision if you want to fight me on that. I paused. I also have documentation of every place you've been, every dollar you've spent, and every lie you've told. If you want this to be difficult, I can make it very difficult. I'd never seen Marcus look scared before. He'd always been the confident one, the salesman, the guy who could talk his way out of anything. How long have you known? 3 months. And you didn't say anything? I was busy. Consulting attorneys. Moving money. Making sure that when I left smart. I glanced at Sierra. Word of advice? Check his credit report. And his relationship status. Turns out he's a really good liar. I turned to walk away. Wait, Marcus said. Jen, please. 15 years. We can fix this. I looked back at him. At this man I'd shared a life with. A home. A child. You took our money and spent it on her. You lied to my face every single day for months. You planned this trip thinking I was too stupid or too complacent to notice. I felt something then, finally. Not rage. Sadness. The Marcus I married wouldn't have done that. So either you changed, or I never knew you. Either way, we're done. I walked away. Behind me, I heard Sierra's voice, angry. You said you were separated. I didn't hear his response. I was already heading to the elevator. Back in my room, I sat on the bed and cried. Not because I wanted him back. Because 15 years of my life had been built on something that turned out to be hollow. But I'd cried alone before. I knew how to survive it. I flew home Saturday morning. Marcus sent 17 texts. I didn't read them. Rachel had advised me not to engage. By Monday, he was back in Denver. He moved in with his brother. Sierra, I learned later, had left him at the casino. Apparently, finding out your boyfriend is actually a married man spending marital assets on you takes some of the romance out of a Vegas weekend. The divorce took 4 months. Marcus tried to fight the asset division, but my documentation was airtight. Every transaction categorized. Every lie time-stamped and cross-referenced. In the end, he got 40%. I got 60%. The court agreed that his misuse of marital funds justified the uneven split. I got primary custody of Tyler, who'd been surprisingly relieved when we told him. I knew something was wrong, he said. You guys were acting weird. I'm sorry we didn't handle it better, I told him. You handled it fine, Mom. He'd hugged me. Better than Dad did. Marcus tried to reconcile 3 times in those 4 months. Flowers. Letters. A late-night visit where he stood in the driveway and begged me to give him another chance. I didn't answer the door. The divorce was final in June. I kept the house. Tyler and I repainted his room and mine. We got a dog, a rescue mutt Tyler named Lucky. We started having Friday movie nights. Marcus saw Tyler every other weekend. He'd moved into a small apartment, lost his sales job after the divorce became messy and public, and was working at a different dealership for less money. Sierra had moved to California. I didn't ask and I didn't care. My mom asked me once if I regretted how I'd handled it. You could have tried counseling, she said. For Tyler's sake. I stayed quiet for 3 months while I protected my son's future, I said. That was for Tyler's sake. If I'd confronted Marcus immediately, emotional and unprepared, we'd have lost half of everything and Tyler would have had to watch us destroy each other. This way, I took care of business first and feelings second. That's very calculated. That's very smart. She'd hugged me. You always were my practical girl. A year after the divorce, I got promoted to senior accountant. The pay raise let me refinance the house and take Tyler to Hawaii for a week. We swam and snorkeled and didn't talk about Marcus once. One night, watching the sunset from our hotel balcony, Tyler said, "Are you happy, Mom?" I thought about it. About the quiet house. The dog. The job I was good at. The fact that I didn't have to wonder anymore where Marcus was or who he was with. That I didn't have to do the mental math of tracking lies. Yeah, I said, I really am. Good. He was quiet for a moment. Dad asked if I thought you'd ever take him back. What did you tell him? I told him you're too smart for that. I laughed. You're a good kid. I learned from the best. 2 years post-divorce. I started dating again. A professor I met at a work conference. Nothing serious yet, but nice. Easy. Honest. Marcus got engaged to someone he met at his new dealership. Tyler showed me the Facebook announcement. I felt nothing. You okay? Tyler asked. I'm fine. Good for him. You mean that? I did. Marcus had been a mistake, but he'd also given me Tyler and taught me what I wouldn't settle for. Sometimes the best thing someone can do for you is show you exactly who they are so you can make informed decisions. 3 years after that Friday in Vegas, I was sitting in my backyard, watching Lucky chase a tennis ball, when my phone buzzed. A text from a number I didn't recognize. This is Sierra. I know it's been years, but I wanted to say I'm sorry for my part in what happened. I was young and stupid and I believed his lies. You deserved better. We both did. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed back, "Thank you for saying that. I hope you're doing well." She responded immediately, "I am. I learned to ask better questions. You taught me that." I smiled. Good. I never heard from her again. I didn't need to. That night, Tyler came home from college for the weekend. We made dinner together, pasta with the sauce recipe my grandmother had taught me. Lucky begged for scraps. The radio played something old and familiar. "Hey, Mom?" Tyler said as we sat down to eat. "Yeah. I'm proud of you. For how you handled everything. For being strong." I reached across the table and squeezed his hand. "I'm proud of you too. For being you." Later, after Tyler went to bed, I sat in my home office and looked at the spreadsheet I'd made 3 years ago. The documentation of Marcus's lies. I'd kept it, backed up in 3 places just in case the divorce had gotten uglier. I didn't need it anymore. I deleted the file. All 3 copies. Then I opened a new spreadsheet and started planning a trip. Maybe Italy. Maybe Japan. Somewhere I'd never been with Marcus. Somewhere that was just mine. The cursor blinked in the first cell, waiting for me to fill it. I typed, "New adventure," and then I started planning. Because that's what I did. I planned. I executed. I survived. And now, finally, I was ready to thrive.
Some days feel off. Like I'm standing but still falling. A little pain, a little tired, and no one to tell it all to. There are days that feel unsteady, like I'm drifting out of place. Every step just feels so heavy, with a smile I have to fake. A little hurt I keep inside me, a little weight I always hide, and 1,000 quiet worries I've been holding deep inside. There's no one here to tell it to, no one who would understand. So I carry all these feelings like they're slipping through my hands. A little broken, little lost, trying hard to just get through. All these nights I stay awake with everything I never say to you. I keep walking through the silence like it's all I've ever known. Every crowded room reminds me how it feels to be alone. There's no one here to tell it to, no one who would understand. So I carry all these feelings like they're slipping through my hands. A little broken, little lost, trying hard to just get through. All these nights I stay awake with everything I never say to you. Maybe one day I'll be stronger, maybe I'll learn how to speak, but for now I keep it buried in the parts of me too weak. There's no one here to tell it to, no one who would understand. So I carry all these feelings like they're slipping through my hands. A little broken, little lost, trying hard to just get through. All these nights I stay awake with everything I never say to you. They say just forget, move on like it's easy. But forgetting you feels like remembering someone I've never seen. I've been trying to erase you from the places in my mind. But the harder that I fight it, the more you're hard to leave behind. Every memory keeps slipping through the cracks I try to close, like a face I should remember, but somehow never know. Forgetting you feels impossible, like chasing something I can't hold, like trying to remember someone that I've never even known. I keep reaching through the silence for a past I can't undo, 'cause letting go of what we had feels like losing something true. Every moment turns to fragments, every thought just fades to blue, like I'm searching for a feeling that still only leads to you. Forgetting you feels impossible, like chasing something I can't hold, like trying to remember someone that I've never even known. I keep reaching through the silence for a past I can't undo, 'cause letting go of what we had feels like losing something true. If I never met you, maybe I would know just how to heal. But now every empty moment still reminds me what is real. Forgetting you feels impossible, like chasing something I can't hold, like trying to remember someone that I've never even known. I keep reaching through the silence for a past I can't undo, 'cause letting go of what we had feels like losing something